Karate to Sailing podcast. It's my favorite time of the week where I get to hang out with some really cool sailors. But of course, I have to share the mic with two complete idiot morons. So first off, let's bring in Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, exalted one.
And you've really been a moron this week, haven't you, BP?
Well, I have to apologise because I did not show up last week. No warning, no nothing. But it's official. I've been diagnosed with echollitis. It is actual lengthening of the tendons in the elbows. Found myself in hospital to get elbow reconstruction during the week. So that's how it is.
Yeah. And you
echollitis. Echollitis. It's official. It is actually a disease.
Oh, I thought they were taking rocker out of your spine. Is that not what was going on? It was your elbows.
No, I'm already long enough. I don't know.
He was lengthening the body, flattening the waterline.
No, to be honest with you, I actually had a little incident and ended up in hospital to get a little bit of bone taken out of the elbow because I broke my elbow. Fun.
Poor bugger. All right. Well, let's bring in the other bloke so we can really take the piss out of you.
Yeah, no, that's good.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Boyce.
Well, I like what you did there, Jordan. Switch the intro up a bit. You've had a busy weekend just writing new intros and stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what he does. He's just
I'm sick as a dog. I've got nothing. I've done nothing all weekend. I've been lying in bed all weekend.
What do you got?
So.
What do you got?
Probably got the Rona, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Rona.
New Zealand Rona, I think.
Yeah.
But I think I got it from one of the Canadians.
Last week, BP.
Yeah.
So when you didn't turn up and it was 5:30 a.m. for me, 5 for Jordan, and we're like, oh no, Jordan was in New Zealand. We're like, where is he? Where is he? We thought you've just had a blinder, but you had a blinder on the bloody endone.
On the endone, yeah. No, I was all on par the night before, messaging, "What's going on, lads? What's going on? What's going on?" So I better just have a couple of endones. That's it, gone. There was non-compos mentis until 10 o'clock the next day.
So talk us through it just quickly, and not to keep the guests waiting, but you've ended up having full surgery on your arm.
Yeah, it ended up being a bit of a staph infection. So popped my had a bursectomy, actually. I popped the bursa in the elbow and that got infected. And she went, but I toughed it out a whole week. I worked all week, just nailed it.
Yeah.
Got everything done. 38 degrees. 38 degrees every day.
Your poor mum listening to this right now.
Got to Friday and it was all over. I said, Bubs, I'm going to the hospital. Not good. Straight in.
Oh, shit. Oh, good. Good to have you back on deck, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
All good.
So,
hey, can we bring in our guest now? Because I'm super pumped for this one.
Enough about us.
Yeah. We have, as we've mentioned many times, we have a special bond with our Canadian friends.
North Australians.
We had a complete respect. We call them the Northern Australians. Exactly right. And this guest we've brought in tonight, it's just pure coincidence. This is all coincidence. We've been wanting to get this guest on for a long time. SailGP, Canadian team, take the win on the weekend. You know, the Canadian team have announced they've got a women's and a youth America's Cup team, and, you know, everything's happening. And we just happen to have this all fall right on that. There was no planning in this because, let's be honest,
there's never any planning.
We don't plan that much.
But we are super excited to have joining us Isabella Bertold from the Canadian SailGP team and the skipper of the Canadian America's Cup.
BG team. BGs from the BGs.
Isabella, welcome to the show. Welcome.
I'm sick.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Good to be on.
God, what a ramble that was.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Welcome. As we said, we're pretty happy to have you. Again, it is just coincidence. So massive congratulations for winning in Christchurch. I think they're never a more popular team. You guys are extremely popular. I'll be honest, particularly amongst, the people who do my role. We're always cheering for you guys. But what a lead-in. You got a new boat in Sydney. Then you sent your wing through and took everything out, just a nightmare. And then you come in to Christchurch and you win. It's
win.
The bit of roller coaster action or what?
Yeah, bit of roller coaster, perfect movie script. I don't know how you want to say it, but it all came together in Christchurch. And I'm going to take a moment right away and just say thank you to the SailGP tech team for even getting us out on the water. They're definitely the heroes behind the scene on that one. But Yeah, I think roller coaster ride is very, very accurate description of what we've been on as a team through the whole season.
Yeah.
At what point did you know that it was going to happen? As far as everything was going to get fixed, you were going to be out there. Were you not getting a flight? You were getting a flight. Was it? That's just added to the tension. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wasn't in Sydney, so I was literally getting, like, as it was happening, people sort of called me and started sending me videos, and I was like, oh my goodness, definitely not going to New Zealand. Zero chance that flight's getting booked now. And then I don't know, maybe I think the sailors, we don't get told everything, so they're always like, yeah, Christchurch, it's gonna happen. And like back of my mind, like, really? How are we gonna fix all of this? I don't know, but flights got booked, and off we went. So I guess, yeah, we were never planning on not being in Christchurch. So maybe that helped our preparation for the event as well.
And how good was Christchurch? Like venue wise, weather wise,
Oh.
people wise, like it was just so good, wasn't it?
Glamour. I'd say definitely the one, if I wasn't sailing on a boat, I'd want to come back and be a spectator there. So like perfect viewing, amazing atmosphere. Yeah, definitely best venue we've been to all season, I think.
And super switched on crowd as well, you know, like it was just so much fun. So much fun.
We had Blair Tuke
Yeah.
on the weekend before, and he mentioned that the wind direction was critical, and probably Jordan and yourself, Isabella, will probably vouch to this, that it blew northeasterly as was hoped for. Could you see if it was the other way around, things could have been a lot different? If the breeze was coming off and funneling down through those valleys, it would have been a whole lot different, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, I think we got pretty lucky with the wind direction for sure. But it was perfect.
Yeah.
I'd go back and race there any day.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, great atmosphere.
And
Nailed
then
it.
actually to top it up, well, clearly to walk away with the win, and you'd say it probably unexpected amongst not only the crowd and everyone else, but to walk away with the win in the final with all the three Australian teams, the Northern Australians, the Eastern Australians, and the Australians. So it was basically a win-win in our book. It was perfect.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I don't know, unexpected, maybe a little bit. I think if you had asked us before the event, we were pretty confident in how we were sailing and how the team came together. I think at the adversity of going through what happened with Sydney definitely brought us together as a team, and I think we're a very different team now than we were before all of the bad things happened. So
Was there much talk about that? I mean, obviously you said you were on the phone. Yep, it's on. We're going to New Zealand. Was there much brought up when you arrived in New Zealand about, hey, let's pull this together. Let's focus. There's a lot on here. Was there much mentioned?
I'd say definitely. I think also we had a lot more safety precautions, and people were looking at us a lot more when we were craning the boat in and out, making sure we were following all the new rules. Definitely feel like people didn't really trust us anymore on that front. So yeah, no, there was definitely a lot of chat in the background of us coming together as a team and pulling this off.
Yeah, phenomenal. Jordan, you were there. It must have been like a super popular win.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question. If you could describe any team that is more giving, it's the Canadian team. You know, you can just wander in and have a chat, and they just, they put their arm around you, and they're super friendly. Like when in Sydney, to give you an idea, while we're all sheltering and hiding from, that bomb that went through, we're all like, all the Canadian team was still in their wetsuits and all their safety gear still strapped on. And I was just sitting there and I had my head down. I was tired, so I had my head down. I was sort of having a half snooze, and I think Phil thought something was wrong, right? And they came over and just checked on me, right? They just lost all their stuff, and they were checking on me, and I was just going, "What the hell? You guys are too nice, too nice." That's the only problem with Canadians. You're too nice.
Not on the water though.
No,
brutal.
Hey, Isabella, I've got a theory. I mean, we saw you come to you really started, the commentating team in SailGP really started talking about you in Chicago because, they started playing your audio. Did you watch back and see all that?
Oh, a long time ago. I don't think I've listened to the Chicago audio for a little while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, I guess the yeah, well, I don't know. Definitely Chicago, we sailed really well as a team, so it doesn't
That's it.
surprise me that would have been picked up a little bit more. Really,
Yeah, you
really
guys-
calm, cool, and collected unit.
Exactly. You guys really stood out. And for you, like, you know, it really shone out in the strategist role, which the strategist role sits behind the skipper. And my theory is that you've got the easiest strategist role because you've got the best view of the course with nothing blocking your view in front of you. Is that, you know, can I say that?
What are you saying, Jordan?
I'd say I feel short.
Yeah, I'd say it crosses my mind, especially reaching down towards Mark 1. I get nice and low to make sure I stay aerodynamic behind.
And you can still see over the top.
Let's not pick on him. He's a good man.
Most of the time.
So you brought it up.
No, let's get back into it. So let's get into you first. So because I mean, I know your history through the laser stuff. How did you start sailing? How did you get to do this? Because you're a pretty determined human being from my observation.
Yeah, no one in my family sailed. But when I was 5, my mom found this sailing day camp. It was all day. And it was like one of the cheapest things that you could put your kid on. And she's like, this is fantastic summer daycare. So I came home from, I think it was like a soccer camp or something. And she's like, next week you've got sailing camp. And I remember looking at her and going, no, there's no way I'm not going sailing. That sounds really boring. Nope, you're going sailing. So I went down, it was off a beach in these little wooden opties and got pushed off in the water and absolutely fell in love with it at that point.
On day one.
I was hooked in day one. I don't know. I think when you're 5, getting pushed out into a bay by yourself, that's pretty awesome. There's no adults around, no one to tell you what to do. I was definitely the kid that got in trouble in sailing camp a lot. Like if there was fishermen who have lines coming off a dock, I was the person that sailed into them. Don't get too close to the freighter. I definitely remember going and touching a freighter and being quite proud of myself for sailing my opti right next to it. So bit of a troublemaker through the Learn to Sail program, but
Did you catch the dolphin by the fin and swim along behind it?
I wish. Still on the to-do list for sure.
God.
You had your chance in
But,
Christchurch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
then when I was 8, I went and did my first regatta. I think I came, I don't know, almost last, but still thought it was pretty awesome. And kept going with it. Never did well in opties, but got to travel a little bit because Canada is a pretty small country when it comes to sailing, which was kind of hooked me at that point on the social scene, and then off into lasers.
Yeah, and get a nice flat forehead from banging your head against the wall sailing lasers. You did well though. Like, sorry, too cheeky.
No, it's we kind of Tom Ramshaw, who sailed fins, he's on the SailGP team, and I sort of joke how we both sailed these really slow boats, but we thought it was really awesome, and we're the best tactical sailors in the Olympic class, and how great it is, and you work so hard. And now that we foil,
to go nowhere.
we were really like, what were we doing? How did we sail these slow boats for so long? Like, we should have been sailing 49ers or something else. There was better options.
Okay, that's a good point. Do you think that the background in laser sailing and optics, obviously growing up, but more lasers and going to that level gives you a bigger, broader perspective of what's going on around you? Do you think that the modern day, here's 2 questions in one, that the modern day sailor, if they were to start off foiling, do you think they have the bigger picture?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think I learned a lot on the tactical and the strategical side, laser sailing, that I don't know if you would pick up if you just started foiling right away.
Yeah.
And definitely some youth sailors now will ask me that are laser sailors, and they say, hey, I just want to race wasps. And I say, no, do both. You should do both, because they are different and you're going to learn different things. So I don't regret any of the things that I learned laser sailing. And especially, I mean, there's more sailing than just foiling to do too. So that skill set you get there applies much more to the other boats.
Well, there's a different mindset for lots of different types of boats. We understand that, but I think it's a really interesting thought that, like a laser sailor has a very broad perspective of the racetrack. When if you are just foiling, it's very linear.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I don't know, plenty of laser sailors that have done pretty well in the foiling space. Tom Slingsby, Paul Goodison, list goes on. So yeah, definitely think there's something there.
There you go.
So do you see now, Isabel, like it's not that long, like 10 years ago, pretty much you were coming through that whole system, like lasers and stuff. Someone who's your age, well, now going through the same system, are there bigger distractions out there, like all these other foiling boats? Like you mentioned the Wasp and the laser before, or it's still quite traditional in Canada or Canada, as I like to call it.
Canada.
Yeah. I think a year ago I would have said there's no distractions. But now with SailGP coming in, the AC stuff, we've been a pretty bad influence on the Olympic sailing side and on the youth development. And I mean, yeah, there's more WASPs around than I think you'd ever imagine in Canada now. We've got a moth class, and we're like the new buy and sell market for moths in North America. If you've got a used moth, there's probably a Canadian that'll buy your boat. Wing foils, all of that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's great because everyone actually wants to be out on the water all the time now, even though it's bloody cold up there.
Good point.
We're all still out on the water, so that's good.
But what happens in Canada when it's not water anymore? What do you do?
Good idea.
I actually don't know so I'm from Vancouver, so it never gets that cold, but I've never really, I guess everybody just flies south. That's why they end up in like Miami if you're from Toronto or Halifax even, or over in Europe somewhere, because yeah, it gets way too cold to sail.
What about the DNs? What about the ice sailors? We love that. We're coming over to do that.
I've actually never even seen an ice boat in person, but it looks really cool.
Tell us about
something I'd love to try at some point, especially I'm a total speed junkie. The faster you go doing something, the more I want to do it.
We're getting a really big group here together of people that have never done it before that are going to go and do it.
I think Isabella might smash us, so that's the only worry.
I don't know.
You got to be a bit more sort of, have a bit more confidence in yourself, Jay.
Oh, don't worry. Confidence is not my problem. I'm just, let's not worry about me. Let's focus on Isabella, all right?
So Isabella, the last 10 years then, in saying that, were you the one down in Miami and sailing a bunch of other classes, or?
Obviously not in DNs.
No. So yeah, I did spend a lot of time in Miami. I know the Coconut Grove area very well. But I think maybe biggest regret of my Olympic sailing time is I only ever sailed laser radials. So if there was a chance to jump on another boat, whether it was like a Melges or a J70, I was really hesitant to, and I said, no, I should probably be training in lasers instead. It's something I really regret because I feel like I missed out on some.
We've heard that story before. You're so focused and learning what you're training and you're learning and you're training and you're learning that you become sort of tunnel visioned, I guess.
Yeah. So I think if I was to do it over again, especially being in Miami, there's so much good racing going on, and spent some winters down in Sydney and Melbourne as well. Same thing. Definitely missed opportunities to jump on some pretty fun boats to go race. Because I don't know, going 3 knots upwind is pretty good.
Well, you've done okay.
There's my alarm. I'm allowed to have another banana. Oh, cool. Awesome.
Well, you've done okay now, Isabella. You've done okay. You're going all right.
Yeah.
You stepped off the laser and now you're on a
SailGP.
So how'd all that happen?
Yeah, you just said, no, I'm sailing laser. Then you said, oh, yeah, no, I'll sail that thing. Yeah, that's kind of how that worked, right?
Yeah.
Did you have a sacrificial burning of the laser and invited all these people, and they're kind of like, well, now you're not sailing lasers. How about you come join us?
Oh man, even better than that, actually. I think so I stopped sailing lasers in 2019 and sort of just went, I'm kind of done with the sport right now. There's nothing good happening in Vancouver. I'm just going to go work and bike race. And then started hearing rumors of the SailGP team a few years later popping up. And I was like, you know what, maybe I should go try and foil once before sending my resume in. So I went out in the wind in December in a Wasp for the first time. It was like 20 knots offshore, and went, okay, yeah, this is pretty cool. Sent my resume in. Next thing I knew,
Hang
I
on,
was
hang on.
flying to,
Just stop there for a second. Stop there for a second.
Yeah.
First time, 20 knots offshore on a Wasp. You're telling me you foiled straight up, got in there, tack jibe, or just went in a straight line?
just straight line, and had
Yeah,
some
okay, good.
absolutely epic wipeouts, just
Good.
flying left, right, and center all over. Not very good at it,
No,
but
perfect.
convinced that I was like, yeah, I should send my resume in for the SailGP team. Very, very qualified for this. And so then the next time right after that I was on a sailboat was in Lagos, Portugal on a GC 32.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I went from basically
Oh.
not sailing to 1 day of Wasp sailing onto a GC, trialing for the SailGP team and going, I'm really in over my head. Like, this is very different. And I better learn really quickly.
But you would have had the, nah, this is all cool. Nah, all right, no worries. This is
I'm
all
good.
good attitude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. As long, just back to the confidence thing. Yeah, totally got it. Oh, what do you need? Yeah, all good. Know exactly what.
Just a bit
what
more
we're
main
doing
sheet, mate.
here.
Hey, main sheet on a bit.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm like looking at the speedometer and I'm like, oh my goodness, I've never gone this fast on the water before.
Crazy, isn't it? So
Cool.
was it a long drawn out process becoming part of that Canadian team, or it was just, it was a no brainer?
Well, for me, I've sort of said, yeah, I'm in the trials process, and at that point committed to it. It did, I'm trying to think even, I want to say it was like 3-4 months long process in the end, basically January straight through to Bermuda, really, where the trials process was ongoing. But yeah, I mean, once you start sailing fast boats, pretty hooked, and I realized how much I missed sailing as well. So there was no question for me on what I wanted to do.
Very cool.
And the so the whole it had, I mean, the Canadian team, when they came on the scene, like, it was all, yep, this is going to be fantastic. Canadian team did that, or was there a lot of planning beforehand? Like, at what stage was the team announced prior to going into the trials that you had to do?
I want to say while we were doing the trials, most people in Canada didn't actually think the team was going to happen yet. They thought it was just a rumor, even though we were doing the trials. So yeah, I don't know, I'm going to give people credit and say there was a lot of planning in the background. People were working really hard, but I think it all got thrown together really fast, actually. And it was sort of learning on the go and trial by fire of figuring this all out. And so I think even more kudos to the early results we had in Bermuda and Chicago, that we pulled that off right out of the gates.
Well, Jordan's
Third
probably your biggest fan. I mean, you got to say when he went over there, well, when that event went on and you guys did so well, you were so stoked, weren't you?
With me?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's only because you're the super coach. Gave a few tips.
Right. Yeah. Help Phil with his starting. Third in Bermuda, and second in southern Canada, which is Chicago. So, like, it was just an amazing start, and I guess, let's be honest, you bring Phil Robertson came in from the Spanish team. There has to be a lot of credit goes to Phil. Is my gut feel. Like, obviously you're all super talented and blah, 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 but that, I remember the early bits. I remember watching, I think, were you guys doing some training in San Fran or something? I think some of you guys, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, we were in San Fran doing what they call the 6-man experience as a new team. So you sort of go and spend time with the current teams that get to go for basically a spectator ride on the back of an F50 after you pass your safety training. And so we were there. And yeah, I think big credit to Phil for sure, but also to Chris Draper. We
of course, of course.
Having
sorry.
both of them on the boat really has
Legend,
helped us. And yeah.
I blanked on Draper. He's going to kill me now.
A man with your normal research talents as well.
No.
No.
Not even a research thing. Yeah, you know.
I'm sick. I'm sick. So,
what do you got?
Let's focus on Isabella, mate. Right. So with that, the whole progress now, obviously, that team has evolved, and you really, let's be honest, the flashes of brilliance are a sign of long-term future at the top of SailGP. So is the team stable? Is it continuing on? What's the scenario with Canada, or do you not want to talk about that?
No, I think, yeah, I mean, we're super focused on the next season already. We're trialing a lot of things in Christchurch, sort of in prep for season 4 as well. And we're very much focused on being one of the top teams consistently in the future.
Yeah, because when you look at the results, so you can't make the final now. You can't fight for the $1 million. Just looking on the odds, there's a little bit of a battle. In all honesty, it's just a battle between France and GBR for that 3rd spot. Is probably, they might pinch the 2nd spot, but it's basically there's 4 boats that are fighting for that spot. So how do you go into San Fran? Obviously you're sailing Christchurch with that in mind, trying different things. Clearly it worked. Going into San Fran, are you going to be, there are other things you want to experiment with?
Yeah, I think, more of the same. Still definitely list. Obviously we didn't get much training time in Christchurch because there were some delays. And so, sort of just keep working through trying.
I was just going to say New Zealand's cheated. The Kiwis were cheating, weren't they? Anyway, go on.
But just more of the same sort of. Joe in the background and Phil definitely have ideas of things they want to try moving forward, and think you can see what everybody else is doing on their boats, so sort of going like, this team's doing something a little differently, let's give it a try and see how we like it. Do we think it's better or worse? San Fran is more of that for sure.
So what's the experience you've had on these boats, that because it hasn't been a super windy season, but we've had some interesting things. What's the experience you've had on these boats? We've just gone, holy shit.
I don't know if I've had like a full holy shit moment. I think there's definitely sometimes on the starts where you're like, oh, there's a lot of boats super close right here. This could go sideways very quickly. I think sometimes you don't realize how fast you're going unless you actually look at the screen in them. But I mean, I think maybe my personal holy shit moment was when I crossed the boat a little too quickly in Plymouth, and next thing my head was looking straight down at the water, and there's definitely a moment there where I forgot about the tether that was going to catch me, and I kind of went, oh dear. And then it's fine. It was fine. So
it's famous footage now.
It's so funny.
Definitely a moment where I saw my life flash before my eyes until I remembered I had a harness and a tether on.
We may have been guilty, may or may not have been guilty of flashing up that bit of footage. So via the social, but it's good gear. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had pretty good form too. I think definitely maybe.
No, it was graceful. It was graceful. Wonderful. Once you got up the right way, it was kind of nice.
Yeah, and good views once I was sitting there too and hanging out. So good oversight.
I like the way you were sort of running as well. You were sort of running on the water, sort of a little bit. Like your legs were going on. Yeah. Should I run or what should I do here?
Yeah. Sort of like I need to get back on the boat, but I can't actually do anything here. So I guess I'm stuck.
But meanwhile, I'm doing 100 kilometers an hour on an F50.
It looked like you were one of those dolls that had a pull string in the back. That was just someone had pulled the string and holding it back on it. But your social media guy, Hugo, he's a great mate of ours, fantastic friend of ours. And I reckon we had the footage in about 10 seconds after it was recorded.
Correct.
Excellent. Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything else from Hugo.
So
that was a great moment.
Apart from trying to get across the other side of the boat, are there any other things that you just have to completely throw out the window? Like now that you are getting around at these supersonic speeds? Or is it, you can, like you say, you don't even know how fast you're going sometimes?
Yeah. I think now like it feels very normal. So I almost want to say it feels more like a normal sailboat race a little bit now, whereas at the start of the season, things were really happening quite quick. But yeah, crossing the boat, always something you do think about a little bit. Think especially as the strategist in the back, sometimes you're crossing at inopportune moments per se. When Phil needs to turn the boat, if you're in the wrong spot, you're going to go for a nice little fly. sort of expect it. Yeah, I think, but it feels a lot more normal now, which is nice. Feels like sailboat racing again.
Yeah. Cool.
One thing that I really was impressed with in New Zealand was the way you guys handled the pressure. Obviously the last, yeah, thanks, Jay. The last race of the fleet was in particularly important for you. You know, you had GBR and you had France and you had all these guys around you, and you just started a really nice consolidated race. But then you got into the final. Now, this is where you I guess you probably, I'm not going to say relied, but maybe Australia was sort of aiming for New Zealand a bit. New Zealand were aiming for Australia a bit. You had this little bit of a underdog approach. You know, that start was a glamour and you nailed that, but then you stayed in the front the whole way. You know, you pretty well the whole way. You basically managed the fleet.
Yeah, I mean, we tried really hard to give up the crashing out of a jibe.
Everyone does.
Penalty.
I mean, that's just normal sailing. That's normal sailing.
We wanted to keep it interesting there for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think, really good opportunity for us with Australia and New Zealand being in the final there. We knew they probably would sort of fight each other a little bit, looking to sort of make a statement before San Fran, which left it open for us to come in and take the win, which was really nice. And yeah, I think that's the best race we've ever sailed as a team, maybe. So
who was nice. Calming each other down? Were you calming Phil down, or was Phil calming you down?
I would say Draper was calming all of us down.
Draper was, there you go.
Yeah, he's the calming voice that comes on the comms every once in a while.
Right. Okay. Good.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's
I like it because I could imagine the stress must have been through the roof. You know, I mean, okay.
Yeah, for sure. I think especially there's a few times where you go, "Holy shit, we're still winning! Oh my goodness, we've fallen off the floor.
That decision worked.
How is this happening?" Yeah.
We were behind, but now we're in front again.
Yeah.
Because there was a couple of close moments, wasn't there? Especially when you're over to the right, you came across on starboard and you nailed them and you got them and got the ley line there. It was a beautiful thing. So.
The stars aligned.
What I'm interested in is what was the party like afterwards? Like first
it wasn't
big
good.
win.
I had to go on planes. Everyone had to catch a plane.
Or like was it something massive or it's full shutdown, got to get off the site?
Yeah, I think I unfortunately was on a plane about 3 hours after we were in the adrenaline lounge having our last glass of champagne there, flying out already, which is like, last night of a regatta can be pretty good. And I feel like this party would have been extra good, and definitely thought about changing my flight there for a moment. But no, I think we had a pretty big celebration on the boat and kept it going for probably a good hour afterwards, and then pack up onto planes and off we went.
There was a good photo of Phil with his helmet on, his wetsuit on, and the steering wheel in his hand. I'm assuming that's how he got on the plane.
Probably, yeah.
He jumps in an Uber. No, I've got it, mate. All clear.
Like the Simpsons. If anyone starts calling you Maggie from now on, there'll be trouble.
The microphone.
Maybe I'll drop that in the comms next.
Go
event.
for it. Go for it.
Yeah, Maggie, come on, settle down.
Where's that come from, Isabella? Bar karate.
But Isabella, whilst you've been super busy with SailGP, you've been pretty busy with other stuff as well, which includes getting a team together for the cup.
Yeah,
you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So Canada's got an entry for the Women's and Youth America's Cup. So we're going to get to go rip around in our AC40 that's being built for us right now by McConaughey Boats. Hopefully,
awesome.
October 1st is our planned first sailing day in Auckland. So hopefully all stays on schedule, and we're going to go have a blast.
It is pretty cool. So I'll just give some details. So it's the Royal Vancouver Yacht Club, because you always challenge for a yacht club. So that's your club, I think, is correct. And
yeah, that's my home club.
Yep. So 3 teams are confirmed for the series. I think there's going to be 6 in the women's and 6 in the youth. So Royal Vancouver is confirmed and so is the Royal Netherlands Yacht Club and Royal Maas, which is a joint entrance for the Dutch, and then Real Club Nordica in Barcelona are the 3 teams definitely confirmed. So when we're talking about the Cup, for a lot of teams, people are trying to get in, but you guys are definitely sailing. The boat's coming, and you're picking crew at the moment?
Yeah, so we're going through our cruise trial selection right now. We've got, I think, lists down to like about 15 sailors from
Right. Mm-hmm.
all across Canada. And so we're going to keep those trials going throughout pretty much the whole summer, because the boat doesn't show up until end of the summer, and then the commissioning starts on it. And so we've got plenty of time to figure out our crew dynamics.
So what are the roles you're
but yeah.
filling? So how does it split on the AC40? You've got, what's the crew look like?
Got your 2 helms and then your 2 trimmers that you're trying to fill the roles for. So we've obviously got the women's team and the youth team, and you need some spare sailors as well, and reserves, not only for a little bit of internal competition, but also if somebody gets sick or something like that. And we're going to be sharing sailors between the women's and youth team as well.
Yep.
So
That's a good idea.
we're
Cool.
working jointly on the crew selection side with that as well. The youth skipper, his name's Andrew Wood. So
Yep.
the 2 of us been chatting a lot in the background about who we want to sail with, what we think might make somebody good at it. I don't know, having seen the boat in person, I feel like it's more like a video game than sailing. So it's a bit of a different skill set, I think, that you're looking for at the start.
Did Nathan Outridge is one of the world's nicest and most giving people. He's the man sailing around in that a lot. Did you have a chance to chat to him about that?
Yeah, I've chatted with Nathan for sure, and a bunch of the other Team New Zealand sailors who have had a chance to go out on the 40. And Nathan makes me laugh because he made these moth videos of like how to foil tack and all that, and it's like, oh yeah, you just push the tiller, move your weight over, and look, foil tack. And
Easy.
came out with this how to sail an AC40 video in 3 minutes. And so I'm like, yep, watch the video, perfect, we're set, gonna go tack bear away and all that fun stuff right away on day 1, because we've watched Nathan's video and we know exactly what to do.
Yeah, straight into the Dino. We'll be right.
Yeah.
Tell me, is there any link between the SailGP and the Vancouver Yacht Club as far as funding and anything like that, or completely standalone, both campaigns?
They are completely standalone campaigns. Very, very separate programs, different CEOs, different shore team leads. But obviously Canada's not that, or big country geographically, but not that big of a country when it comes to sailing. So we're still, one program helps the other in the long run.
Yeah, sure.
How has the fundraising been going? Obviously, there's an element of that needs to be thought about. You must be pretty pivotal involved in that side of it. Is that gone to plan, or you still, obviously you've got the boat, you're down a long way down the path. There's more to come. It's a long process. It's just not something that's, perhaps focused on just this cup. There must be future cups involved here.
Yeah, definitely. It's a long-term vision. So by owning a boat, it's not just 2024, but 2028 and on beyond that as well. And I think what makes this one special, it's the first time the women, we're going to have our own cup that we're racing for. And so there is definitely, I think, some added interest on the funding side for people who want to support the growth of women in sport and provide us that opportunity, which is what's allowed us. But I think, as I've heard a lot of people say, the more money you have, the more you can do. So the fundraising never stops, especially knowing that it's 2028. And I mean, how awesome would it be if Canada was back in the actual America's Cup too at some point? So there's fundraising meetings every week.
Well,
good on you.
So it's an interesting format though, of course, because it's as you said, it's in the AC40, which I think is one of my, it's not my favorite boat. It's right there. I just love the way it looks. But it's a mixture of fleet and match racing. So we know you're good at the fleet racing. How you go with the match racing, especially with 2 skippers. Now that is going to be interesting. When do you hand over? Anyway, go on. So how's the match racing?
Yeah, I love match racing. It's something I want to do more of in general. But we definitely have some talented sailors that are on our trials list that have a ton of match racing experience as well. But yeah, we've had some conversations on who's making the decision to when do you hand over, how much can you actually see once you are out there, and what's that going to be like. And I don't know, foiling. All it takes is falling off the foils in a pre-start, and it's game over. So
yeah, well,
I think it'll be good fun.
If you go back to the 36 Cup in Auckland, in these boats, in the big boats version of these things, you know, the whole dial-up thing disappeared. You know, it was just the setup, I think, is probably the best way, where you want to be on that line and hitting that line, which you've got a ton of experience from SailGP.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's getting to sail with Phil and learning from Phil has been really good. I
Yes.
definitely think he's the best starter in the league still in SailGP, and he's best of the best right there. So I've been sailing alongside one of the person that has been teaching me a lot. So I've been taking lots of notes.
It's music to Jordan's ears.
No. Poor Phil, he must get sick of this. So just the background, when we did our discussion with Phil, we talked about the strategy and different philosophies of different points of starting, and we broke it. We just went through a little bit of thing after the discussion.
Not forgetting, Phil, I've got an idea. Why don't you try this?
So that's the height of arrogance that I run with, you know, that I'm telling one of the best match racers and sailors in the world how to do, you know, this is how I think you should start, sort of thing. So yeah.
So, but I'm assuming that was our starting strategy, though, then that he used in Christchurch, your tip on the
100%.
approach and when to tack back and all that. So
I'm not saying a word.
Obviously there's some value.
Look, I'm interested how it's going to go, because as you said, with the AC40, it's kind of like a video game. You know, they're trying to set it up so it does sort of self-fly a little bit and all that sort of stuff. Does that give you more chance to bring more intensity into the racing, I wonder? You know, like if you can stay on those foils.
I hope so. I think the way I've heard it mostly described is that the AC40 is like a little go-kart. And at least whenever I've gone go-karting, it gets out of control pretty fast, and you're pushing pretty hard and trying to push people off the track and all that good fun stuff. So if the AC40 racing ends up like that, it's going to be real good fun from a sailing standpoint, but also I think spectators are going to love it. So
I think they will. I think
so. I just love the format, full stop. I think the 40s are a way forward.
Did you say your boats, you're picking it up in NZ, or
so we're it's getting shipped to New Zealand, so it's being built in China like they all are, and we're going to be based for down under in Auckland for their summer, basically sailing October through to the end of March before shipping the boat to Barcelona and doing some venue training there.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. Love
You're
it.
up for a good couple of years, I reckon. Fantastic.
Are you pinching yourself at the moment?
A little bit. I think once I see the boat actually in person, knowing it's ours, and then getting towed out for the first time to go do our first actual in real life sailing, and I think that'll be when I'm like, oh man, this is real.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. At the moment, it's like it's sort of just in the distance.
In the distance. Yeah.
While I remember, if there are any Northern Australians or Canadians that want to jump on board for a bit of sponsorship, should they just reach out to Royal Vancouver Yacht Club? Is that the best way to get in touch, or have you got a website?
Yeah. Royal Vancouver Yacht Club or website, we've got that as well. Or I think the easiest email of all of them is just to our CEO, which is Jim Turner. So jim@ac40can.com. It's the shortest email of them all.
Jim@ac40can.com. Beauty.
There we go. Now, have you got a good livery for the boat? Is the maple leaf going to be featuring quite prominently, or you got some other ideas?
Lots of ideas. I think we might some point when the crew selections are done, we'll have to all go out for some drinks and then randomly pick one a few hours into the night and see what we come up with.
Yeah, don't do that.
It'll be good. It'll be look nice and slash.
Yeah, don't do that. We were meant to design a 60-footer once, and it came out as a 100-footer. So after a few too many.
You could you could invite us along, because we've got some really good logo ideas for for you guys. 100%.
Oh yeah, no, do not, Isabella, do not invite us along.
We may push it too far.
You know, that ego thing that gets in the way a little bit. Then we think we're funny, but we're not really.
Oh, dear. I love it. So,
God. See what I got to put up with, Isabella.
one thing about you though is, you're smashing it in sailing, but Bossy and I both know and to love our cycling, and you're racing in a pro cycling team, like a UCI Continental cycling team.
Yeah, I do. Like to stay nice and busy. I think last year was pretty crazy, flying in from one SailGP race straight into a bike race, back to another sailing venue after. I think I said I really like going fast, and road bike racing. You definitely hit some good speeds, and it's good fun. So
you'd hate to get the wetsuit and the lycra mixed up. Just turn up to the SailGP.
Damn it! Got my lycra on.
Yeah.
Nothing worse riding a bike with the thigh pads on.
Oh, the wrong helmet.
Wrong helmet.
No,
The big silver goggles and the microphone.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you what, there's a few America's Cup teams just going, hello, we need a cycler. Huh? Hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Those cyclers are pretty strong, so I don't think I'd ever get even close to making the list there. But it is nice seeing so many more people out riding for sure, and hopefully have some good rides to go on in Barcelona with some fast cyclists.
So where did bike riding fit into the equation? You said you went sailing early with your mum.
All the laser sailors since Berkey. Berkey started everyone on that path, I reckon.
Yeah, okay. So you've gone off and done that, and then then all of a sudden you're into bike riding, but you are racing semi or professionally, whatever you might say.
It's a UCI team, mate. It's pro.
So it's full pro. So when did that sort of all start for you? Because obviously you were going down the sailing path and the bike riding path. It's not easy.
Yeah. So sort of, I want to say after 2015, I knew I was sort of done laser sailing. But my youth coach and I actually started working together again, and he said, I'm not letting you stop until you have fun doing this again. And I said, all right, fine, we'll keep laser racing, because I lost a lot of the fun out of it, but I'm also going to do this road bike racing
he
thing
is a
that
forever
I sort of
optimist,
picked up
isn't
on
he?
the side. Yes. And so I started racing and got absolutely hooked, and then just every year kept stepping up my racing on the road bike a little bit more. Towards the end, I actually remember we were at a World Cup in Genoa, Italy, and I'm like, oh man, I really got to finish my interval workout here, because I've got a race coming up, and hopefully I can make it out to the race course in time, and got lucky with a postponement of racing that day, so that I didn't actually miss the first start. So say my priority definitely shifted towards the end, and then stepped away from the sailing and was just road bike racing full time, really, for a couple of years there.
It's a busy little town to ride a bike around in Genoa. Jeez. I do have to ask, just while I remember, that Canadian SailGP team, who's the loosest unit in that team? Who can we pick on the most? Who's the one that just you shake your head at all the time?
Oh man, probably our flight controller, Billy. I think
Billy.
you got to go give him the gears next time you see him. He's
Jordan knew that answer was coming, right?
Yeah.
Jordan?
Yeah, for sure.
We're definitely going to get Billy on the show. We've been saving that one, I think, because he's a unique human being, isn't he?
He's I think he's born in the wrong era. Like I think he would have done really well about 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So make sure to ask him about like his pickup truck and his farm and things like that. And give him the gears.
I love it.
Pickup truck, farm. Does he wear overalls and a straw hat?
I think if he could on the SailGP boat, he probably would.
Bit of wheat hanging out his mouth.
Yeah, we got a new uniform, guys.
Yeah,
Spurs on his boots.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah, that is very much Billy.
I love it. I love it. So, if you're trying to fit all this in, right? So, doing the AC40, SailGP, the cycling, is it possible? It sounds pretty hard. Like, if what I'm guessing is you haven't bothered with a bed because you're never going to get any sleep.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I've been home like 10 days this whole year because I've been
Wow.
on the road traveling so much.
Wow.
At some point, I do definitely think it'll all get to be a little bit too much, but
Yeah.
until I like fully just hit the wall and say, oh, that's too much, we're going to keep going with it all. Because yeah, it's good fun, like to stay busy, and I do think they all sort of help and support each other. So it
Yeah.
makes me a better athlete.
Yeah. That's cool. So no Olympics then?
No, definitely very done with any Olympic sailing stuff.
Mm.
Boats are too slow. Need faster boats. Maybe if they brought like a moth in or something like that, then I could be lured back into it.
SailGP.
Yeah, put the F50s in or an AC40, then
So
maybe.
what you're
but,
saying is you're done. That's it. Now there's no stepping back. You're not going to go back to doing under 50 under 50 knots.
No, definitely done. I've been asked a few times actually about doing a NACRA campaign by different sailors. And every time I just sort of laugh and say, thanks for the compliment, but you couldn't pay me enough to go back and do the Olympic sailing stuff. I think once you're done with it, you're done. So time
Wow.
to move on to other things.
That is very cool.
3 knots, 3 knots upwind.
Do you get into the technology? Like, you know, like when you think about these, it's between the AC40 and the, you know, the F50, you've got they're basically both one design boats, but there's a lot of technology going into it. You know, you're playing with wing structures. You're going to be playing with double panel sails. You've got all the different foils, all the hydraulic. Coming from a laser where, you know, you could play with the Vang and the Cunningham eye, and, you know, your rudder was useless because it was just your body weight that did the steering. Like, what do you, like, how do you get, your brain must have exploded in knowledge from boat sailing with all the stuff. Is there any ideas you think you see at all, or?
Yeah, it's been I think steep learning curve for sure. But something I always missed in lasers was a little bit more the deep analytical side. So it's definitely an area that I've taken interest to and seeing, and I think the 40 will be really interesting with basically the automated flight control system and seeing how that changes things as well. But yeah, I think when I've got sent the F50 systems manual just like by email and clicked to download it, and it came out, it was like 10 minutes to download because of how big the file was, and I was like, oh man, this is something else. And yeah, definitely boat work and sail control is not something a laser sailor is overly used to, so it's been an interesting learning process.
I'm guessing does the AC40 have a simulator?
It does. There is one. It's pretty basic, I think, is the way to put it. Like you can run it off of your laptop basically and the PlayStation wheel. So it's not like the big F50 simulator with motion platform. Obviously the cup teams have their fancy simulator systems. We don't have that yet. Might get there, but right now, no, just pretty basic simulator, figuring out the takeoff speeds, angles, things like that.
Yeah. And have you had a crack at that yet, or?
Very shortly. I've played around with it a little bit, but haven't had a ton of time yet, and still a little bit far away from our boat coming in, so it's lower on the priority list right now. Yeah.
I think SailGP, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. I assume I am. SailGP doing some mega work on a simulator structure there. You can always see the guys writing the code for the simulator when they turn up on site, you know, like they definitely look like what you would imagine they'd look like. And these dudes, you know, they're writing.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, explain what like is that, have they got like sunburn around where the VR goggles go on or something like that?
They're wearing ties, mate. It's bizarre.
Black suits.
You know,
sneakers.
No, but there's a whole lot of work going on to that simulation field. So, and I thought there'd be a more advanced one for the AC40. I just assumed you were sort of going to have a detuned version of the New Zealand one, but obviously not.
Yeah, I think definitely the cup teams have some pretty dialed in simulator systems for sure. I've heard a rumor too that there's going to be a public AC40 simulator that anybody can buy, basically for like a PlayStation setup with some virtual racing and all of that going on.
We'll get into that one.
I think if that actually comes true, it'd be pretty awesome to see some e-racing happening online with that.
Well, word has it that's the next
e-racing.
step, right? Like youth team, women's team, e-racing team, and it's all going to go towards it.
Yeah, and probably whoever's really good at the e-racing is probably going to be a better sailor on the boat on the water too. After having sat in the AC-40 cockpit, I can tell you it does not feel like sailing.
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
Except for when
bad news for you, BP.
except for when a front comes through and they've got to manage the front.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think that'd be in the simulator. Yeah, just a word of warning, Isabella. If BP's ever entered an event on the simulator that you're doing, just stay well clear because he thinks port is starboard, and he's still going around the world.
He's still competing in the Vendée Globe. Yeah, from 2016.
Well, I was going to say the good thing about simulators is you can enter multi-events.
You got to finish one of them, BP.
No, but you just get bored. You just get bored and move on to the next one. You know, like I'm going to go and do this one now while you're still racing around the world. You get off the boat and go to another race.
So we have to get, like, you've got to sail. You're about to be able to sail on the 40. You've got the 50. There's not many other super cool boats left on the planet. Is there anything else that's now that you're not sailing lasers, so you've got time to go and sail? What's the next thing that you're keen on? Is there any, you're going to go around the world?
Maybe. I think
Whoa.
it's definitely something I still want to get to spend a little bit more time on. Definitely like some comforts though, like being able to take a shower in the evening after sailing. So I don't know how well that would work with the offshore around the world stuff, but definitely never say no. And I think any opportunity that would come my way right now.
Well, there is a big push in Canada at the moment for offshore sailing with Scott, a mate of mine and mate of ours. So Scott from Canada Ocean Racing is putting a big effort in. So there you go. Little links directly to there.
The Omokas are very comfortable.
Yeah, beautiful. Bean bags.
Slippers.
Yeah.
Slippers.
In a cradle, inside a shed, without the mast in it.
And no noise. They're not
with
very noisy.
With the deck cut off.
And it's only for 40 days.
What about venues then? If it's not necessarily boats, is there a venue that you really want to go to that you think, oh yeah, this would be cool? Obviously, Christchurch was a winner.
Oh man. We're already going to such good venues everywhere. Like Chicago, definitely amazing venue as well. I am really looking forward to Barcelona. I've never raced there before, even though I know the sailing, people have been saying the sailing might be like quite difficult. I think it will be a really good spectator venue. San Francisco is always special and always fun as well.
Agree with that. Yeah.
I don't know. Anywhere where people like sailing and know what sailing is, it's always a good time.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. We're into our last couple of minutes, so it's a travesty. This shouldn't happen. You know, time flies when you're having fun. So I guess we just have to sort of finish off with the key critical questions. You know, like if you come back and win next year, SailGP, and then you win the Women's America's Cup. Do you have like a knighthood sort of system in Canada, like where you could be, or would you just be made Governor General?
Bronze statue, maybe.
Bronze statue.
Yeah.
Where would you like that?
Yeah.
You're probably somewhere in Vancouver would be good for a bronze statue. I don't know, maybe Prime Minister for a week or something like that would be pretty cool.
Gold letter boxes as they do in the UK.
Yeah, that could be good as well. Or I don't know.
Because you are Commonwealth. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the king used to be the queen. The king now can actually put a gold letterbox at the front of your house.
Yeah, maybe. I think I'd have to be in one place long enough to have a letterbox, though. That would be worth putting up. But
it'd be funny having a PO box, wouldn't it? Whose is that?
Just the little
gold PO box in the middle of nowhere.
No, BP. Gold Gmail.
Gold. Is that gmail.com.gold?
Yeah. No. I mean, it does. It's a super cool life you're leading, but you know, like it's tough. Like people are jealous. I'm certain that you've got this amazing life going on, but it's not easy. Like as you said, 10 days at home. That's challenging. So how do your family cope with it?
I think they're pretty used to it now from the
Cool.
Olympic stuff. I was always gone all the time. I mean, Vancouver is beautiful for cruising, especially if you have a power boat because there's no wind. So you want to get to these beautiful places pretty quick. Not the best place for sailing in that sense. So I was gone all the time. So yeah, they're used to it, but also I think pretty happy that some of the venues coming up like Auckland and Barcelona are nice places to go.
Cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. All righty. Well,
Awesome.
we love the Northern Australians, Isabella. So we're certainly rooting for you in the sense of we want you to. Well, you've clearly bitten off a whole lot here, and let's just hope you take it on.
Absolutely.
Great
Good luck with
success.
everything.
100%.
Good luck with the AC40. Good luck with the Cup. Good luck with the SailGP. We love it.
in the cycling.
And the
And the
cycling,
cycling.
of course. Yeah.
When's your next cycling event?
Actually coming up just a couple weeks from now, our season starts. So
What is it?
jump right into it. There's
Tour de France.
Redlands Bicycle Classic, and then there's a big UCI race in Silver City, New Mexico,
Oh,
of
there
all
you go.
places.
Mm.
Go to some pretty glamorous spots for cycling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be hot down there, right?
yeah.
Hopefully.
Mm.
Hopefully.
Mm. You like
Yeah, very
you like
cool.
riding bike in the heat? Nah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you do?
I don't know. Yeah.
No.
Way better than in the rain and cold.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, I didn't think of that.
Mm. Very cool. Very cool.
I'm not a bike rider, so I wouldn't know.
All right, champ.
Thanks,
We'll leave you
Isabella.
alone.
I think Peter Brock said this once: bite off more than you can chew, and chew like fuck.
My stepdad said the same thing.
Mate, Isabella, she's got plenty going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, love
obviously
it.
driven, high performance athlete, and clearly good at what she does.
Mm.
So wishing her great success.
I think the crazy thing is she's not only at the elite level of sailing, she decides so that she's just going to do some bike riding just on the side.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's most people struggling to just make that, it's a dream, and then
Yeah.
she can just fit that in. I love it. I love
Just fit it in.
Yeah. It's insane. It is
Yeah.
truly insane.
Mm.
Yeah. No, we'll talk about SailGP in a minute, but what they're achieving also is bloody high level. High
Oh,
level.
for sure.
And she's clearly a big part of that. So yeah.
Mm.
Just
Just
an-
the push in general is huge.
Mm.
Everyone involved. I mean, every single person involved in those AC40s has got themselves switched on and they're taking it on to the next level. Good on them. Looking forward to it.
Cool. All right. Let's move on to other news.
Okay.
Club events. One of our big fans, longtime friends to the show, Gottfried Henning, just sent a reminder in, but it is super cool. There is an event starting on the 1st of April, so it may be a joke, may not, but it's the second running of the...
Speaking of which, what was your little comment the other day on the socials? You have your wife working on the April Fool's joke.
Oh, yeah. What's
Is
going
there
on?
something we need to
Don't
be
give it
aware of?
away.
Is there
No.
something we need to be aware of, George?
Just enjoy it. Just
Is it towards us or is it toward our listeners?
No, it's a genius. It's genius. It's genius. Now
Everything
everyone
you
will
do is
spot it
genius.
straight away.
Everything you do is genius. You know that.
Anyway, it's all ready to go, but now everyone's going to look for it. So you've spoilt it, Bicey, you mongrel. The Defy
You
Atlantic, Defy Atlantic is about to kick off April 1st, which is it's in the class 40s, a whole bunch of class 40s. So April 1st, going from Guadeloupe via the Azores, Horta in the Azores, and then finishing La Rochelle. So interested? Anybody interested? I am.
Yeah.
I love the 40s.
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
Okay. I think there's a spot. Yeah, no, I think they're expecting 15 boats. So is what it shows on the website. So
It's kind of the 40s take a bit of a massive surge, then drop away. Big surge, drop away.
I think it's
Like,
because
it's
they. I think
bit
it's
of a
because
fun
they
one.
have. Yeah, because they have events that everyone focuses on, and it's not necessarily a super high profile global sponsorship event. They're events that the class focus on. They're a class focused class. if you
Yeah.
like. And, you know,
Full of classy people.
full of
Mm.
classy people. And
Yeah.
I guess in Australia, we don't really experience it too much because of the class 40 is a French thing. And, you know, there is an element of European sort of attitude. Definitely Americans are involved. But I think that it's because of that reason. It is that it's very, I wouldn't say localized, just it's class orientated. And that's why it's like it is.
Yeah, cool. No, I like
Well,
it.
it'll be good fun. It'll be good fun. It's racing back across the Atlantic. You know, you'd be going north pretty quick, wouldn't you?
Always.
You just jump onto that current and go, gone. Yeah, okay. So that's on. The other one that popped up during the week, the Fred Neal
Oh, legend.
SA match racing event coming up. So that's 29th to 30 April. So for the rest of the world who don't care, it's match racing in South Australia where we're all sort of originated from where we all came together. And Freddie Neal, did you guys know Freddie?
Oh, I knew Freddie. Yes, I managed
Yeah.
to do lots of miles with Freddie in the end. Yeah,
Yeah,
towards the end of his
yeah.
career.
Knew Freddie very well.
yeah, absolute legend in South Australia. And we all sort of he was a stern man is the best way to describe him. You know,
He sort of came out of the same sort of mold as your mate who you were up here in Sydney last week for, Sid Fisher. Very similar sort of age groups, similar sort of personality, similar genre. In fact, was actually one of Sid's skippers in the early
Recruited by
days.
Sid.
Yeah,
Correct.
For those
Yeah.
who would like to know, Freddie Neal was actually the helmsman on Steak and Kidney in the old days, I believe.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. Back
Mm.
In
the
1987 in
end.
Perth. So Steak and Kidney was a you know a pretty high profile program here in Australia, and yeah, Fred Neal was a very talented sailor, very
And then,
talented sailor.
I think didn't Fritz end up being tactician on board that? Went from South Australian team to that one, I think.
Yeah, it was.
I got
because
the
of
full insight as it turned out on
Mm.
Friday night, but
Oh, there you
I've forgotten what was said.
Anyway, it's good to see some match racing be that because of all the work that the Commodore of the Cruising Yacht Club of South Australia has done with his team there to get probably the previous Commodore, nothing to do with the current one. He's been shit,
No,
but
it's useless.
Useless.
Mm.
but yeah, now they've got all the Elliott sevens there, so that'll be
Gents, I've got something to tell you.
good. What's that?
There may or may not be a team entered in the Fred Neal match racing on behalf of the current Commodore, the Cruising Yacht Club South Australia.
Oh, mm.
So stand by. I might not be making the podcast that weekend.
Who's steering you?
Yeah, getting the team back together.
Get the band.
Mm.
Yeah, we'll see.
So
We'll
Nick
see.
Patterson,
James.
Patterson. Sorry, James.
Yeah, no.
James.
Nick out. Nick will go good.
Get Nick out for good luck. James. So
Yeah, no,
Pato, you.
No,
Who else?
getting excited. There's going to be full dance card for that particular event. So
I love it.
let's see.
Cool. Very
You've got a
cool.
little note here on your run sheet that sort of states that there should be some more pearlers from Fritz coming.
Oh yeah, obviously, you know, match racing against Fritz is where some of his best comments come flying across the water. So I assume this is Robbie Jewson, one of our great mates. I assume Fritz will put a team in because he's not a bad match racer. I think he won it a few times. So he and you know, this is where some of his most
Well, a
famous
good
comments-
opportunity to sail the boats prior to the National Sailing League as well, finals, which are in May, going into May. So Fritz and
Where are
his
they-
team will
where
be
are they
up
being held?
in Newcastle.
In Newcastle,
So,
yeah. Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I've
Cool.
seen your mother naked.
All right. Shall we go on to the Jack Lloyd Listener of the Week? There's some funny things going on. I've got to say, I'm feeling very sympathetic to Phil Sharp.
Yep.
We interviewed him. I think he was last week's interview.
Yep.
And obviously, the whole conversation about Ocean's Lab and Ocean Slab.
The Ocean Slab.
Yeah, and then the announcement this week that he's in the Vendée. I think it was that came out this week, and the number of people that sent us a note saying "Go the Slab," and
Go the Slab.
I sent that on to him. I said, "Phil, you're going to have to embrace this," and he's gone, "My whole marketing team are going to kill you guys." So, he was sending me dirty notes. Going,
Never. We're just full of controversy, aren't we?
it's
I
just
think
embrace it.
this is the exact words from his email after your email Jordan, saying, judging by the responses, Phil, you might hear a lot of people yelling, "Go the slab," when you're racing. Phil's immediate response, fantastic. This is a bit of sarcasm here.
Yeah.
Just the news our comms director will want to hear. Emoji, dude holding his face.
Sorry, mate.
Ocean's Lab. Phil Sharp, go boy.
And,
That's all I
and
can
then
say.
their next line, though, well, they've just announced the official entries for the Vendée 2 days ago, so no going back for the slab. So he's
Embracing it.
even calling it.
Yeah.
So,
No, we love it. We love it. And I think that, it's the banter, Phil Sharp. Just get on it. Come on.
yeah, no,
He
it's good.
loves it. He loves it.
Good,
He's
good,
all
good,
right.
good. So,
Phil Shearer sent a note, Bicey, just asking how the ocean tracker didn't show the boat stopping for the barbecue. He's guessing that they didn't turn up and went with Uber Eats
Is that
instead.
the truth? Because I was actually in hospital. I was going to ask you what happened there.
no, I got Uber Eats
Oh,
out
did
of
you?
out of Invercargill.
What'd you send him? Bit of Thai.
So it was a bit of a roasted penguin or something.
A roast gentoo.
Dear.
Bit
Bit
of
of Invercargill mussels.
bit of South Coast green lip. Curry green lip.
I love it. Anyway, so yeah, the winners of the Phils, and Phil will be looking for his merch pack, and he'll be
He'll be
I think
waiting.
He'll be keep looking.
keep looking, Phil. He's sending his grandma to South Australia, I think. So just be warned. That was one of his little
He's
notes.
sending his
Yeah.
grandma.
No, to pick up the merch pack.
Oh God, I can't wait to hear that phone call. Knock on the door.
Here for the merch pack.
Yeah.
I'm Phil's nana.
I love it. All right.
Move on.
It's hot time with Bice.
Been a while.
Well, so boys, before I'm going to throw over to you on a bit of this, Jordan, as of last week, because SailGP, because to talk about, but just quickly mentioning, Friday night I was over in Sydney for Sid Fisher's Memorial at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, and it was the who's who of yachting were around.
Yep.
Plenty of common faces, a lot of people that sailed with Sid like during his whole career, and some great stories to boot. Hence a lot of the stories with the transition from a lot of people in their current 12, like South Australia, for example, when they headed over to Steak and Kidney. And a lot of, let's call it, we'll keep most of the stories just a little bit, undercover.
I've got a nice one.
And there are a few named people that weren't there who do listen to the show. Vengeance, one.
Yes.
He got food poisoning, so he couldn't attend. And then, of course, our good mate Strangers, who was with Sid for years and years and years. As it turned out, the only man to be nervous about his Jetstar flight. So he got a Jetstar flight, and the only Jetstar flight that got cancelled.
Can I say something? Because obviously I never sailed with Sid and I didn't have the upbringing that you guys did. But there was a funny story that came back to the palace where I have a few drinks that night. And it's a story about Sid where he bought a 100-meter roll of Kevlar rope from the States and was bringing it back to Australia. And basically, he said, went on to go on saying that he didn't want to cut it. So what they did was they unreeled it from the rolls and put it in 2 bags. And collectively, the weight was fine for carry-on, but they just left a bit of rope between the 2 bags. And so the 2 guys walked on the plane, with the rope. Connected
2 bags.
2 bags and a 100-mil rope of Kevlar sailing rope.
Yeah.
Beauty stories like that. Just
there's
classic.
plenty of Sid story, You never pay full price for something. You always have a pen in your hand ready to go so you can sign off on all the new tools that you need to buy, all that sort of stuff. And not to mention he was he drove his teams pretty hard, and well, that's shown with the success he had. So
absolutely
bloody good.
Ali.
Right. Now we spoke about it with the Isabella, of course, with the SailGP. But whilst recording last week's episode, we're yet to go into the final day So I'm going to throw to you a little bit on this, Jordan, and because basically run and one in NZ, next big one, San Fran.
Yeah, final.
Give us your final day analysis. But as mentioned, you know, we had the Eastern Australians, Northern Australians, and the Australians, of course, in the final. So
and we recorded Saturday night, and I absolutely put the boot into the Aussies and said they've lost it, and then they came out and smashed it in the first two
smoked them.
races.
Yeah, exactly.
They looked super hot. I think the final what cost them, I reckon. Remember, they got two little boundary penalties. They came off that bottom mark. They hit the boundary on one side and hit the boundary on the other side. And I reckon they were doing that on purpose because they'd worked out that they could drop attack, but if they went just a little far into the boundary, and they were trying to take attack out, which is what they managed to do. But it
and
just
what's the
didn't work.
So
penalty?
like a professional foul.
It was like 20 meters, 50 meters, depending on
20 meters, right?
Yeah. It took taking professional foul. So I think they'd done that. And remember, they were experimenting because they couldn't lose. So, you know, they're into the final, no stress. There was, they were on the medium wings, so 24 wings, light wind foils. And that there was a couple of times there in the fleet races that I think the first bottom mark, the Kiwis rounded neat and everyone else just had ugly roundings. They were right on the edge a few times with their boards. You could see that for everyone.
Edges in power or overpowered?
It's in overpowered. You know, they were difficult. The boats were hard to fly. It was really obvious they were hard to fly. But there was obviously the dolphin holds going on, you know, for the
saw that,
I don't know what they call the Herbert dolphins or whatever, Herman dolphins or something. Little black and white things. And so they take that, they're very serious about that. So, you know, it was interesting. And one of the questions, geez, I'm not sure if I should say this. They won't see me. I'm not going to San Fran. I can't fit San Fran in. So I probably
so it doesn't matter. Just
wipe yourself up for next year as well.
Yeah, they'll forget me before that. One of the guests, I was walking around, VIP guests, is going, "Oh, so do you have a management plan for the dolphins? How do you actually chase them off the water? Like, what do you do? How do you do it?" You know, and I said, "Oh, we just
is going."
Well, he said, "How do you get them off the course?" I said, "Yeah, we can get them off the course. We just talk to them in Japanese."
I knew there'd be a certain level of inappropriateness with whatever that answer was going to be.
I thought you were going to say something like, "Oh, we just whistle, you know, and they follow us."
This guy lost it. He laughed and laughed and laughed. And then the next day, some random bloke stops me as I'm going for a leak, and he's going, "You're the funniest bloke. I heard about that comment." So that group certainly laughed. I knew the group I was talking to. Let's just say that. So it was.
Well, now you've gone worldwide with it.
Yeah, good group. Anyway, so the Canada, bloody San Fran will be pretty critical. It'll be intense, but obviously the build up between GBR and France, you know, that fighting for that third spot. I think New Zealand
to watch.
could lose it. You know, like New Zealand could be dropped behind both those two, but it'd be difficult. And you know, New Zealand would be pretty smart in the way they sail. Australia will stay pretty calm, but they definitely had things worked out on that Sunday. The Aussies were looking hot again. And then it'll just be, it'll be intense.
Yeah. Nah, it's going to be good. So how's it work, the whole pack up? So you're all done. Everyone's on flights out of there straight away. Tech team pack all the boats and bang, they've gone to San Fran straight away.
Yeah.
Well, when are they racing San Fran? May the
7th and 8th of May.
7th,
So yeah. So it's full bore straight on. You know, it's a good event though. Like the only thing people can complain about, it's only 15 minutes a race. And I wondered if they did that originally, or, you know, we did that because you didn't want to have, you know, when you watch the cup, you know, when things get spread out, it can get boring. It doesn't look exciting, but everyone's so close together now. There's so many lead changes. It's really good. It's really, you know, all the information sharing, all the data sharing. SailGP is on fire. Good event. More events next year. Maybe more still to be announced. There's certain ones we can't talk about. I don't think they've been signed off yet, but I think there's even more events coming. So it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Port Lincoln?
Yeah, Port Lincoln. Yeah. No, Vincent. It's a fight between
Port Vincent and Port Lincoln.
Wyala and Port Vincent.
Well, I might have to have a chat to my dad and see if we put Stansbury in there. You can stay at the caravan park. I mean, there's like 70 spots there.
I know. I know. Anyway, it's a good event. Certainly make your way down, and the Kiwis should be really proud. They did an amazing event.
Yeah.
From what I understand, they've agreed to 4 years. So from what I understand, it was Littleton or Christchurch.
Yeah.
So and then it'll be Auckland next year. So and then they'll go back to the South Island the year after, and then back to the North Island. So I think, from what I understand, it's going to be Auckland next year. So
Right.
that's
I was wondering how that was going to work.
Yeah. So that'd be cool.
Without ocean races, without cup, anything like that, it'd be a pity not to have something in
mighty Auckland.
In Auckland, for sure.
Yeah, well, it's a great place to go.
Yep.
So, cool.
Rightio, boys.
Yep.
Who's your money on then, Jordan?
Militia.
In the ocean. We're talking such.
Go on. Don't know.
I'm going to go New Zealand.
Yeah, I've kind of got a bit of that inkling myself.
Overall.
Pete, I'll tell you what, we know
Overall.
Pete pretty well, but the more you see him, the more you realise how intense and ruthless he can be. I think he's a pretty dedicated human being when it comes to sailing. He knows exactly what he's trying to do. But I mean, Tom's the same. I'd love it if the French won, because they're just such a cool bunch of guys. Absolutely love it. I reckon.
So we've realistically speaking, we've got 4. We've got GBR, we've got French, we've got the New Zealand, and we've got Australia.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Good.
Cool.
Rightio. Ocean race, gents. The winner, I'm going to predict it now. The winner into Itajaí, Guyot. She's almost made it from its little stopover in Cape Town. Much closer to Itajaí than the other boats on the Grand Southern Ocean delivery. It still continues. They're actually getting a bit of a push heading into Cape Town now. Cape Horn. Jesus, idiot. Yeah, Cape Horn. With the Militia leading the way. They're not exactly smoking, but what's exactly smoking these days?
They're going downwind, basically, aren't they?
I think they're in preservation mode, to be honest, until probably late tomorrow afternoon, our time, Monday, where it seems to settle, and then they'll be able to put their foot back down and get around the corner.
Yep.
So
Militia is slowly gaining. Been putting gains on. Gains in.
Good footage come off that boat this week.
Magnificent.
40 miles ahead of
job.
Wholesome, 127 miles ahead of Biotherm, and 180 back to 11th hour racing. So I think once these boats get on the dock, we're going to see a whole heap of damage on the 11th hour. Is my guess.
Yeah.
To be that far back.
They've been pretty open in what they've been sharing, but I reckon we're only seeing a minute percentage of it.
Yeah. It's interesting because when we were going into this, I think we all had the same thought. I don't know whether we talked about it, but that Militia and 11th hour,
we all definitely spoke about it.
Were bit heavier built, and I think like the Militia, like she's only 40 mile in front at the moment. It would probably like to be a bit more, because once they go up, once they go around the horn,
back into that sort of marginal conditions.
Yeah, I reckon the old Wholesome might just start smoking away again. But it's good to see it all come back together. It was looking like it was just going to be a one boat fleet, but I just got to say, Team Militia, they've just been smashing it on getting the footage out, doing the communication. They've been unreal. They've been unreal. Like Abby, I'm loving Abby's little stories and stuff, but Militia, that footage off the boat this week was just insane. Where like I was sitting there, the drone, was the drone going to make it back to the boat? Like it was right on the edge. It was just super cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so I'm guessing how long they've got? Probably 8 or 9 days, probably.
Yeah.
To finish 7, 8, 9.
We'll be talking pretty hard about it next week, I think.
I think at the moment they'll be in survival, not survival mode, but in preservation mode. All of them, as they're going through that the Cape Horn. You've been around there. I personally haven't, but you know what it can be like in these strong northwesterlies. So
I wonder, this will be a good one to keep an eye on throughout the week, what their traditions are going to be around Cape Horn. Whether they all just start pissing into the wind to start with. So you're allowed to do that once you go around Cape Horn if you're if you're a Cape Horner.
Yes.
But yeah, whether it's whiskey or rum or cigars or whatever it might be, who knows?
Sail around naked. I've seen that.
Wholesome. They'll just throw the burners out and light the cigars up.
Poor Abby. I hope she's surviving that. I'll tell you.
Oh, she'll be fine.
Yeah.
She'll be the first one to survive. You know that.
Yeah.
No,
Cool.
That's about it from the big end of town, gents. There's a few other little things going on.
Yeah.
But that's about it from my side.
Well, I just want to talk. I think this has been my personal agenda because there hasn't been many worlds floating around. So the Flying 15 worlds are run and won, and we've sort of mentioned them. We've given them a red hot plug, and they're definitely. I mean, now they're following us. You know, the Flying 15 class internationally are followers of ours now. So g'day to everyone out there. Just want to talk from a coaching perspective, kids. If you want to win a world champs, the secret is just to get a funny name. That's it. Floaty McFloatface has taken the win.
Good on old Floaty McFloatface.
Has taken the win.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Now, this is a Pommy boat, skippered by Graham Viles and Chris Turner. They're new to the Flying 15s. They've only won the Worlds. They run the Flying 15 Worlds every second year. It's what I've worked out. But they've only won the Worlds in 2011, 2013, 2015, 2019. It wasn't held in 21 and then 23. So they're just getting going in the class.
Yeah, just getting a bit of experience under their belt before they really start performing.
Yeah, but amazing performance, like really strong performance. A couple of young West Aussies, I think, there, like in second and third. Looks like Nick Jewett and Brad Sheridan. So definitely West Aussies, and Lockie Gilmore and Ryan Donaldson. So there we go. Yeah. Lockie Gilmore, did I say Gilmore?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So first and second and third. So I think Brad Sheridan's a sailmaker from memory. So working on them, and I saw the plug from one sales for the third place boat with Lockie and Ryan. So yeah, and then Ian Pennell he's got his own sail company as well. So there you go. I'm intrigued. But Pinners and Ian Cadwallader. Ian Cadwallader. To the fourth. Yeah.
What is that name?
Yeah, no, that's not funny.
Anyway,
no wonder they
I like Floaty McBoatface. Yeah,
exactly.
Floaty McFloatyface.
Floaty McFloatyface.
Floaty McBoatface. Yeah.
No, Floaty McFloatface, because Flying 15, everything's with an FPP.
Oh, right. Okay, good.
Yeah. So just wanted to give them some love because that's coming up. The other one, I guess we should mention, Princess Sophia. I think that starts at the end of the month, 31st. So through 8th. So that's all the Olympic classes, and then here will be later in April. So there's all the Olympic classes in Europe again. Everyone's on a plane over there at the moment. So that's happening. The other one is, of course, started. Where are we? Yeah, I think the St. Thomas International Regatta in the Caribbean is.
Yeah, the Caribbean's in full swing. Saw a bit of footage from all the big fellas in St. Bart's last week. Pretty sensational place. For those that have been, for those that haven't, yeah, it's got to be on the bucket list. Oh, the St. Bart bucket, for that matter.
List.
The St. Bucket List.
St. Bart bucket list.
Where'd that come from?
Don't make me laugh. I'm sick.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, you're not going to sing us out, are you?
Yeah, come on.
It's BP.
No, you can sing us out.
But,
you can sing us out tonight.
No, I'm good. Good show. Good catch up. Another good one lined up for next week as well. I mean, I think people really love it. It's good fun, hey? Hanging with our mate, talking sailing.
Okay, I'll get my slide. Hang on.
Cool. With the guitar.
Where are you going to come in, BP?
Wherever you want. Just do it. I'll come in anytime.
Okay. All right. See you later, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week and enjoy your sailing. Send us some notes at cheers@barkarati.com and tell your friends.
Here.
Your friends
5 stars.
Nothing in front but a picture black at night. Oh, my